everyone, welcome to this 8th week of virtual discussion. Today we will be discussing all about reproduction. So we have sexual and asexual reproduction. So I hope that you are now ready with this new topic for today. So good luck and enjoy watching this video. Now class, what do you see on the picture? Now in this first picture class, you will see a mother or a parent and its offspring. So as you see on the right side, that is the parent, and on the left side it's the baby or its offspring. Now how about in this second picture? So in this second picture, you will see many flowers, and one of them could be a parent and some of them could be its offspring. So now class, what makes it possible? So nga nung managhan man ang mga tanom or ang mga flowers and also humans, kita mga tao. So what is the process of possible reproduction of parent and having its offspring? So for the information of everyone class, reproduction is the process in which organisms give rise to the new organisms or offspring. So it is one of the defining characteristics of living things. So, it allows organisms to produce new individuals to perpetuate their species. So, that is reproduction class. So, this simply means that their similarities is that they are able to reproduce, because in the first picture, the baby was born. In the second picture, more flowers were reproduced. So, after identifying their similarities, let's proceed or let's move on to their differences. So now, what is the main difference between the two pictures? So we can see that in the first picture, naadjukalian because there is variation between the baby and the mother, right? On the other hand, the flowers have no variation, so wala sila'y kalahian sa usag-usab because all of them are pink in color, right? Now let us see the difference between sexual and asexual reproduction. So class, let's start differentiating these two in the number of parents. Now in sexual reproduction class, there are two parents involved, or shall we say, it is parental. Now in humans, we need a mother or a female parent and a father or a male parent. While a sexual reproduction class, only one parent is involved. Now, why do we need two parents in sexual reproduction and one parent in asexual reproduction? So the answer class is directly related to our next topic, which is all about gametes. So what is gametes class? So do you have any idea of what is gametes? So when we say gametes class, gametes is also called as a sex cell, which can either be a sperm cell if it is from a male parent and egg cell if it is from a female parent. So these two works together or unite to form a new organism called offspring. And the process of uniting two cells is called fertilization. So that is why the presence of gametes is another distinguishing factor between sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. So in sexual reproduction class, gametes are formed which come from the original parent. In a sexual reproduction class, gametes does not formed. So now, if gametes are not formed, then how do they reproduce? So we'll find out on our next video, but for this video, let's continue differentiating their two types of reproduction, the sexual and asexual reproduction, which can also be distinguished depending on the nature of genetic materials, that is sexual reproduction. So two parents are involved, so with their egg cell and their sperm cell. Class, when we say sexual reproductions, this means that the nature of their genetic material is an intermix from both parents, while asexual reproduction, same genes are present from parent to its offspring. So I hope that you see the difference between the two. So another difference lies in an involvement of reproductive organs. So from the word alone, reproductive organs, this means that it is the reproductive organs that are used during reproduction or during mating. So, in sexual reproduction class, reproductive organs are used or they are present. So, do you still remember the different parts of reproductive system? So, I have here an illustration showing the human reproductive system. So, if you're a boy or lucky ka, you will have a male organs. Or if you're a girl or bayi ka, you will have a female organs. So, let's start with a male reproductive system. So as you can see, there are many parts which interplay in order to nourish the sperm. And in female organs, there are also many parts working together to produce healthy egg cells. So both the male and female reproductive systems are important for life to occur. Now class, always take note that in sexual reproduction, male organs and female organs are used, while asexual reproduction, no reproductive organs are used. So by now, nakita na nato nga in sexual reproductions, it is more complex than asexual reproduction. And of course, this greatly affects the rate of reproduction in sexually reproducing animals. So just like humans and other multicellular and complex organisms. So mas hinay jud ang rate sa iyang reproduction. In fact, in humans, it takes 9 months to fully develop a baby before it is delivered. And it takes 13 to 15 months in camel and 18 to 22 months sa elephant. So for some other animals, class, you can do research on that. So for now, let's proceed to asexually reproducing animals like bacteria. It is fast or rapid reproduction. So example, in the picture shown, you can see that there is a bacteria, and this bacteria reproduces by binary fission. When we say binary fission, class, it is single bacterium double its DNA, then splits to form new two organisms. So that is why it's very fast. So many organisms are produced in bacteria. So if we compare this in 9 months of humans, only one baby is formed except for twins, right? So while bacteria class in 9 months, it generates 1,968,229,944 bacteria. That's the big difference between the two. Now class, what are some of the examples of animals or organisms undergoing sexual and asexual reproduction? So let's move on to sexually organisms animals. So it occurs at almost all types of multicellular or many more cells of organisms, like animals and humans and higher plants, like these dogs. We have also mango tree, and also humans. On the other hand, class, in asexual reproduction, it occurs mostly prokaryotic microorganisms, which are very small to our naked eyes to see. Also, it is present or it occurs in some eukaryotic unicellular organisms, lower invertebrates, and lower plant. So examples are the Bacillus bacteria, this protozoa, and lower plant like this potato. So that's all for asexual reproduction. So class, before we have the exit, let's have the quick recap. So class, in this video, we discussed about the difference between sexual and asexual reproduction. So based on the following. So we have number of parents, presence of gametes, genetic material, involvement of reproductive organs, rate of reproduction, and lastly, we have sample species. So now class, for further understanding about the topic, please watch this video.
The two gametes of sexual reproduction are sperm and egg. Did you notice the large size difference between the sperm and the egg? There's a reason for this, but let's see how their formation differs from one another first. The creation of sperm is called spermatogenesis. It starts with a diploid cell called a primary spermatocyte, and after meiosis I, it forms two secondary spermatocytes, which are haploid, but have a duplicate chromatid with them. After meiosis II, all the cells are haploid, which in humans means they'll have 23 chromosomes. The haploid spermatids will mature into sperm, which will then be motile and ready to fertilize an egg. The creation of an egg, also known as an ovum, is called oogenesis. Like spermatogenesis, will start with a diploid cell called a primary oocyte. But after meiosis I, the cytoplasm is divided unevenly, and one cell gets most of the cytoplasm. The cell with the most cytoplasm is called the secondary oocyte, and the other small cell is a polar body. Both of the cells are haploid, with all chromosomes duplicated. After meiosis II, the secondary oocyte is again divided unevenly, and most of the cytoplasm goes to the ootid, which will mature into an ovum. This ovum will have all the organelles, including the mitochondria. Even though only one mature ovum is created by the one oocyte in oogenesis, females are still born with millions of cells and will release hundreds in their lifetime. Not every cell created by one individual is the same. In fact, they're all very different. Genetic recombination from crossing over and independent assortment during meiosis lead to genetic variation and differences in each sperm and egg. This is why brothers and sisters don't all look identical. Now, the whole point of making sperm and egg is for fertilization, to make offspring, babies. Once the haploid set of chromosomes from the sperm are released into the egg, the two sets of chromosomes combine, creating one diploid zygote, which will grow and mature over time into the offspring. We all started out this way, just a tiny cell the size of a grain of sand. But sometimes things don't always go so smoothly. Errors during meiosis can cause non-disjunction. Non-disjunction is a failure of homologous chromosomes or sister chromatids to separate during meiosis. Here's one of those cases. During metaphase I, everything is lined up as expected. But during anaphase I, a chromosome is pulled to the wrong side, which leads to gametes with incorrect numbers. Some will have an extra chromosome, and some will have one less. This could lead to a variety of issues. While most of these cases will lead to miscarriage, some disorders are not life-threatening. Here are some examples of disorders that can occur as a result of non-disjunction. Probably the most widely known one is Down syndrome. In this case, there is an extra 21st chromosome, which can lead to mental impairment and stunted growth, among other things. Klinefelter syndrome occurs when there's an extra X chromosome in the standard male karyotype. This can lead to weaker muscles and bones, less testosterone, and sterility. One of the only cases of monosomy, where there's one less chromosome, is Turner syndrome. In this case, the second X sex chromosome is missing. The female will be sterile and have shorter stature and a webbed neck, but might not have any mental impairments. Thanks for watching this episode of Teacher's Pet. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at SciencePet.
Development of a new human life. Sperms waiting for the start of their journey. During sexual intercourse, about 300 million sperms enter the vagina. To enter the uterus, sperms first need to pass the cervix, which is open while the woman ovulates. However, some sperms will not make it into the uterus. Cells from the woman's immune system mistake the sperms for foreign invaders and attack them. Thousands die. Many sperms find their way into both fallopian tubes, but only one tube contains an unfertilized egg cell. While being in the fallopian tube, trying to reach the egg cell, some sperms get trapped by the cilia and die. Only a few of the original 300 million sperms have survived and managed to reach the egg cell, while this one is being pushed towards the uterus. The egg cell is covered with a layer, the corona radiata. Sperms must push through it to arrive at the zona pellucida, the outer layer of the egg cell. They attach to specialized receptors, which enable them to burrow into the outer egg layer. Inside the zona pellucida is a narrow, fluid-filled space which surrounds the egg cell. The first sperm to make contact will fertilize the egg. But how does this process look like if sperms and egg cell are not in optimal condition? The amount of sperms is less. Their agility is massively reduced. They swim slower, which means they struggle longer in the dangerous environment on their way to the egg. When reaching the egg cell, they fail to burrow into the membrane of it. No fertilization can occur. Also, the egg cell's vitality is important for the fertilization process. If the calcium ion mobilization of the egg cell is not high enough, sperms fail to penetrate it. How can couples support and improve their fertility process? Sufficient and regular exercise, abstaining of alcohol and cigarettes, and managing a healthy and balanced nutrition can improve the conditions of sperms and egg cell. But also, food supplements like chlorella and philandrol can be an important aspect to reach the necessary amounts of nutrients to improve the quality of sperms and egg cell. In sperms, myoinositol activates inositol triphosphate in the calcium channel of the endoplasmic reticulum, which results in more calcium ion output. Myoinositol has similar functions in the body of a woman. The enhanced calcium ion production fills the perivitelline space with calcium ions. In the important phase of the fusion between sperm and egg cell, myoinositol causes an improved acrosome reaction and eases the merging process of the male genotype through the egg plasma membrane for the following hereditary fusion. Ex Altis, Rethinking Healthcare.
So that ends our topic for today. So goodbye and God bless everyone.